So the full moon is often known for creating a little bit of chaos, a little chaotic energy. The full moon is known for illuminating things that are often in the darkness, hidden from us. And sometimes that can be helpful, and sometimes that can be challenging, especially if those are things we'd rather keep hidden. This is Boogie. He's the epitome of chaotic full moon energy, a little scattered, a little flighty, maybe nervous. Sometimes full moon energy can create communication issues. We can feel a lack of connection. Poor Boogie's dying for connection here. And we might find ourselves pretty challenged by some of the energy and some of the illumination that the full moon brings. Now, things that help nurture us, like spending time with your pets, maybe spending time outside in nature, doing things that help you retain your focus, can be really nice during this full moon time. So, I had a particularly rough run with the full moon this week. My focus today in my yoga practice is going to be on grounding, on helping myself feel safe and solid and secure on the earth, but also on a very nurturing practice, moving the joints, stretching out any tightness or any areas that are holding on to tension. So why don't you join me in this practice? You might find that it will help nurture you and make you feel a little bit better if you're dealing with chaos in your life, full moon or not. So for this practice, we'll be heavily focusing on grounding and flexibility. So it should feel like a very nurturing practice. We will need our 2 blocks as usual and a strap for our stretching. So let's start in tabletop position. Have your fingers close to the front of your mat. So fan your 4 fingers wide, let your thumb relax. Press the tops of your feet down into the mat. Feel your shins contacting the mat and make your spine long. And on your next exhalation, deeply round your spine. Tuck your tailbone down, chin towards the chest, middle back rises. Inhale, lift your tailbone, lift your gaze and let your belly drop. And do that a few times. Now, pay particular attention to your inhales and your exhales here. If you've been dealing with some chaotic energy, this will have a couple of benefits. Number one, it's going to help focus you on something that's happening right here in the moment. If you find your thoughts wandering to some of the chaos you've been experiencing, draw it back to your breath. And as you exhale, imagine that you're really clearing away all that chaos, all that nebulous energy. And as you inhale, imagine that you're bringing in fresh clarity and just peace and ease. The next time that you round your spine into cat, bring your hips all the way back towards your heels. And then inhale back up into your tabletop with a back bend. Let's do that again. Just beginning to smooth this out so that you feel kind of like you're making a wheel, a circle with your whole body. Exhale as you bring your hips to your heels. Inhale as you come back forward to your tabletop with a back bend. And the next time as you bring your hips all the way to your heels, let's just pause there. Now, if you can keep your thighs together, that's great. You can press your belly into your thighs, and I'll tell you why I kind of like that in a moment. But I know not everybody can do that, so you can also separate your knees and let your belly relax between your thighs. If you can keep your belly on your thighs, allow that compression that's occurring as your belly presses into your thighs with each inhale to cause the back body to benefit from the expansion. It'll feel like a big stretch in your back body from side to side, from your neck to your tailbone. If you have your knees apart, that's okay too. Just imagine your entire torso expanding. Think about all of the work that your back does, all of the muscles in your back. Use this as an opportunity to let some of any tension that you've created release. Then, reach your arms very, very straight. Press your palms into the mat, all around, like that big circle of your palms. Stretch your fingers. Feel them lift and get longer, and then plant them back down. So now you really feel like you have contact with the earth here. Come back to tabletop, curl your toes under, and lift to an easy down dog. Pedal your feet. Just begin to work into the feet and into the calves. Lift your heels high so that you feel a stretch in the soles of your feet. And then lower your knees. Move your knees forward just a little bit until you feel like you're back in your stable tabletop again. Extend your left leg back. Make your leg very straight as you curl your toes under on the mat and rock back and forth. Again, just some TLC for the calves and for the feet. And then pause, lift your leg and cross it over the midline of the body to the right. Gaze over your right shoulder at your foot and take some deep breaths into your left rib cage. Come back to center and lift your leg. Bring it all the way out to the side. Now, keep your left hand on the mat, lift your right arm, and thread it underneath, and just lower your right shoulder and the right side of your head on the mat. And take a few deep breaths into your right shoulder blade area. I really feel like the shoulder blade area is where we gather a lot of tension when we're feeling responsibility. It feels like we carry our burdens all in the upper back. Take some deep breaths and release any tension and heaviness that are in there. Allow some lightness to come back into your upper back. This next bit is optional. If anything doesn't feel right, just stop. Don't do this. But try tucking your chin towards your chest and then turning your gaze upward. So the weight will come into the back of your head on the right side. So the chin tuck is important. What's happening is that your chin is being drawn towards your chest. Now, if this bothers your neck in any way, obviously don't do it. If you've got a neck injury, I'm going to assume that you know that and you're very, very cautious with it. But this stretch here gets deep into the back of the neck where we often carry a lot of tension. If you've been having problems with communication lately, and sometimes the full moon chaos can really contribute to a lack of communication, your throat chakra might be either under or overactive right now, so this can be helpful. All right, let's press the left hand down. Lift your upper body back to tabletop and draw your left knee back in. And now extend your right leg, curl your toes under on the mat. Just rock back and forth a little bit. And then pause and lift your leg and cross it over the midline. And take a C curve, gazing over your left shoulder at your foot. And breathe deeply into your right rib cage. Lift your leg, sweep it all the way over to the right, and now raise your left hand and slide your arm underneath your right arm, threading it and lowering your left shoulder and the left side of your face to the mat. And take a few deep breaths here into the left shoulder blade area. Your muscles have memories, and it's obvious that tension can manifest in the muscles if you look at the furrow of a brow or the pain in the upper back. It's clear that our emotions can settle into some of these areas. So take deep breaths in here. See if you can break up a little of that kind of cloudy energy. And then if it's okay for your neck,
tuck your chin to your chest and turn your gaze upward so that the weight now is coming into the back of your head. You feel a stretch along the left side, the back of your head. Take some deep breaths here. Again, the throat chakra can manifest if we have communication problems as underactive energy, but it can just as easily be overactive if we find ourselves having a hard time monitoring our speech. Maybe we find ourselves talking a little too much, nervous talking. But any attention we give to the neck and to the throat and to the jaw will be helpful. Then press your right hand down and lift your upper body back to tabletop and draw your knee back in. Curl your toes under and come back and sit for just a moment on your hips to heels. This is broken toe, and again, not everybody's comfortable with this. Some people have a hard time flexing. I happen to do this very well. I'm one of those lucky people that can either sit flat on my feet or toes curled under. I like to joke that this is the one flexible area of my body. Take your fists and massage your feet. And again, if this is too difficult, you can always come out for a moment, give them a break. Let's give that heavy connective tissue on the soles of our feet some extra blood flow. May have been putting on a lot of steps today. And then take one of your blocks. Sit on your block. I like to sit. I'm going to just turn my back to you for a moment so you can see the way I grab the block with my heels and sit on it. I like to sit on my shins. Now maybe you like to sit cross-legged. That's fine. The important thing is that you're sitting in a way that your spine can be very tall. All right, so you don't need to slouch. Sometimes when we're sitting cross-legged like so, and our hips are lower than our knees, like for me, for example, my knees rise, and it causes me to lean back a little bit. And then of course, to stay upright, I have to slouch. I see this a lot. What I'd rather see is sitting on a block. When I say I see this a lot, I mean with students. Sit on a block so that your spine can remain tall effortlessly. Then pick up your strap. Uncurl your strap and take the buckle in one end. Find a wide hold and lift the strap above your head. Now, we're going to take a test run. It's important to take this slowly. We're working with some small muscles. It's imperative that you keep your elbows straight and slowly bring the strap behind you. Now, I've done this a lot of times, but if, for example, your wide hold looked like this, you might say, oh, I can't bring the strap behind me and keep my elbows straight. Well, then you need to widen your hold on your strap and bring the strap back and keep widening it until you feel just like a gentle stretch. This should be an easy, comfortable stretch. Touch the strap behind your back and then lift it up and over and in front again. All right? Take a couple of test runs. Make certain that you feel good about this. It should be a gentle stretch for the fronts of your shoulders and for your chest. You'll feel this stretch in here as well. And then let's do it together. So starting with the strap in front, bring it up and behind you. And up and forward. A lot of coughing. Big deep breath in as you lift. And then bring the strap back. And then another deep breath in and forward. Find a breath pattern that works for you. The energy just got kind of chaotic here. I've got the horses behind me. I've got the dog crying to go inside. Find a breath pattern that works. Usually we inhale when we expand and get big, like that, and we exhale when we bring ourselves out of this expansion or contract. But even though we have that little rule of thumb we can follow, at the end of the day, do what feels right, just make it intentional. Now the next time that we do this, let's just do this one more complete time. And then after your last complete round, lift the strap above your head and pause. Now bring your left arm to your left ear and push your right arm straight back. Feel a stretch. Maybe up in your lats. Your lats are the muscles that are along your rib cage, deeper into your chest as well. At the end of this sequence, it's a very simple sequence, but I think you'll feel that there will be an additional lightness to your upper body. And again, if you feel like you've been carrying a lot of burdens lately, I think you're going to notice the difference here. Now, bring your right arm by your right ear and press your left arm back. Give your right side a big stretch. And then come back to center. All right. Now tell me that doesn't feel better. All right. Let's take the strap to the side for a moment. I like putting it at the front of my mat. There, I know where it is. It's waiting for me and it's not in my way. Come back onto your hands and knees. Have your blocks ahead of you. And step your right leg forward. Scooch your left leg back. So just toe, knee, your knee back until you just begin to feel a stretch in the front of your hip. Move your blocks back so that they're behind your right heel, and then lift your chest. Press the top of your back foot to the mat. Now, if your knee is giving you some grief right now, here's a tip. It might help to lift your knee, internally rotate it a little bit, so roll it inward, and then lay it back down. That takes weight off of the very sensitive part of your kneecap. And if that doesn't work, obviously a blanket or just folding the side of your mat over can help. Extend your front leg towards straight. Give yourself a curtsy and then bend. And we'll just do that a few times. Working into the hips. Second chakra. That's where we are working when we're working into the hips, the very low belly, the low back. This is an area emotionally that's connected with pleasure. And sometimes when the energy is chaotic, that can either feel frenetic, like out of control pleasure. This chakra is related to addictions. It can also feel like, I just don't know how I used to have fun anymore. I work so hard, I'm so focused, I just am not enjoying myself. So either way, this work here is going to help. The next time that you plant your foot, curl your left toe under and lift your knee. Let's go a little bit deeper into the pelvis. So extend your front leg towards straight. This is hamstring. And then bend your knee. Let's just do that a few more times, back and forth. If you feel like your blocks are too short, you may not have an extra set of blocks, but you can always stack blocks. You'll know for next time. You don't have to extend your front knee straight. You can keep a little bit of a softness in anything here as you work. Bend your front knee. Let's take your block to the inside of your foot and spin to face the long edge of your mat and turn your toes out. And now we'll work into the inner thighs, still pelvis. Imagine that heavy pelvic bone and let gravity assist you as you just bend your knees from side to side. Again, we're going for a stretch in our inner thighs here. The next time that you bend your right knee, let's pause and just stay with that. Now, you also have an option here to lower your hip all the way to your heel and turn your other toe up. You decide what feels like the best stretch for you. This is a good stretch. This may also strengthen your quadricep a little bit more. There's no right or wrong solution. And then turn so that you're facing the other edge of your mat. Lower your back knee for a moment. Double check that your knee is far enough away from your front heel that you're beginning to feel a stretch here. So I'm gonna knee toe back a little bit. I see my knee comes right back over my front heel again. Lift the heart. And then begin your curtsy and your lunge. It's like a curtsy and lunge. Second chakra is also related to the sensuality and our sexuality, certainly, but the senses can be a source of pleasure. In yoga philosophy, you want to be cautious that the senses aren't ruling, that they're not controlling us, but rather we're controlling the senses. It's one of the things that we talk about in the Bhagavad Gita. So an overactive second chakra might lend itself to, like I said before, addictions, to pleasure, to sensory objects, to food, to sugar. The next time you bend your knee, curl your back toe under and lift. And let's extend and bend. And you might wonder why I'm bringing up all this chakra stuff right now. I feel like maybe during this kind of chaotic full moon energy, we can deal with some of these imbalances, and we may find ourselves struggling just a little bit more with the senses. We might find ourselves working with cravings a little bit more and feeling a little more out of control. The next time you bend your knee, pause, and then bring your block to the inside. Come back to center. Take a couple of side lunges again, not quite as many as last time. And then bend your knee, your left knee, and we'll hold this lunge. And again, you can stay here. You can bring your hip all the way down to your heel. I'll just demo it quickly like that. I feel like this is where I want to be today, so I'm going to stay right here. And just pause. And then pivot to the front of your mat. Now move your foot, your front foot, so that it's centered between your blocks. Check that you've got your long stance, that you've got some stretch in the front of your hip, and then plant your back foot heel to arch. Bring your hands to your thigh, lift your torso. With your hands on your hips, check that your two hip bones, the two sides of your hips, are level. Your heart will be facing the long edge of your mat, but if this knee is dropping in, then you need to allow this hip to come forward a little bit. So sink into your Virabhadrasana 2. Virabhadrasana 2. Now, I would like to focus on grounding here. So what happens with your hands is up to you. I know that this is the typical posture, but if you're dealing with a lot of upper body stress, don't do that. We're focusing from the waist down. So sink a little bit deeper. Make your feet wide and long. So if you're a size 8 shoe, maybe you can become a size 9 shoe. And let your hands just come into any kind of a nurturing position that feels right. And maybe you close your eyes. Closing your eyes can really enliven the pose. It can make it feel completely different. If you get tired, go ahead. It's okay to straighten your knee. This is just a nurturing practice. But then re-bend it and focus on feeling as though you're almost creating deep footprints in your mat. Then straighten your knee. Let's actually bend the knee. Change my mind. I reserve the right. Carry your blocks forward. Pivot forward. Carry the blocks so that you're facing the other edge of the mat. And heel toe your front foot centered between the blocks. Check that you have a long stance. The blocks are here to sort of support your upper body. And then plant your back foot heel to arch. With your hands on your hips, come upright and level your hips. Check that your knee is right over your heel. Allow this hip to come forward. Lift your toes, fan them, then relax. Remember, part of strength is in the ease in it. Soften any tension. Take any hand position that works for you here. Close your eyes. If your balance is off, find something to gaze at. Just one thing. Make your exhales a little bit longer now than your inhales. And allow yourself to sink deeper into the mat. It's a-okay to straighten your knee if you feel like you need to release some tension, and then bend the knee again and come back into Warrior Two. Straighten your knee. I'm clearly going to mirror myself on this side. Rebend your knee. Grab your blocks and come forward. Now, turn your toes inward. Come all the way to standing. You're going to move into a Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. We're going to make this particularly grounding. So, again, get a lot of contact with the earth. Lift your toes, fan them, relax them back down. Place your hands on your hips. Let your hips lead this movement. So with very straight legs, although I'm going to say for the purposes of this practice, if you want to soften your knees, go ahead, because this is a very soft, nurturing lunar practice. Begin to fold forward, letting your pelvis lead. Your spine just goes along with your pelvis here. So your spine stays long. Any folding is coming right here from the hip creases. Take your hands to your blocks. For some of you, this is where you're going to be. This is far enough. Your spine remains long and strong. If you want to go further, begin to lower your blocks. Some of you know that you can take your hands all the way down to the earth. And that's great, because if you're able to do that, what I'd like to do is this. Bring your blocks right underneath your head, stack them. This is a nice configuration to start with. And lower your forehead down to the mat. Now maybe you can fold deeper. Maybe you find your spine is becoming not so much horizontal, but starting to become more perpendicular to the earth. And then of course you can lower, just keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine. I love the way that rhymes. And lift your tailbone. Just allow either your forehead or your hairline, or if you're super flexible, the top of your head come down to the blocks. Now once you're here, you've got 5 points of contact with the earth. 2 feet, 2 hands, and 1 head. Take a moment to try to bring even weight into each of those points. Get comfortable. If you're feeling overstretching anywhere, like for example, my outer feet right now are overstretching, so I'm gonna shorten my stance a bit. That will cause me to perhaps have to lift a block again, but that's okay. I'm gonna fidget and fuss here just a little bit, because when I settle in, I'm gonna take about, we're gonna hold this maybe 30 to 45 seconds. That's probably less than we should, but that's what we're gonna start with. And make your exhales a little bit longer. And just allow your 5 points of connection with the earth to help you feel very grounded and stable. Just feel how the earth is supporting you here. Think about internal rotation to the legs, lifting your tailbone. Just a few more breaths. Hang in there. If you're feeling a little fidgety, your energy is feeling a little chaotic, it's almost there. See if you can hang on. And then lift your upper body, reposition your blocks, lengthen your spine. Think about a little bit of a back bend, lifting your tailbone, letting your belly drop, just like you did in your cow pose. And now, lower your right block, place your right hand on it, bring your left knuckles to your tailbone, and then roll your heart towards the left and give your shoulder blade, your back a little bit of a squeeze here. It should feel good. Replace your left hand on the mat. Bring your right knuckles to your tailbone or to your sacrum. Roll the shoulder back and give yourself a little twisty squeeze here. And lower. Now, maybe you don't have to navigate. Could she be taking up any more room? I don't think so. All right, ma'am, gotta move a little bit, sweetheart. Move over, even more. Okay. Heel toe your feet towards one another. And then, I guess I'll just move. Drop your hips between your heels and come into an easy malasana. If this doesn't quite work, we're not going to be here long. Just go ahead and sit down, take a moment to wait. And then lower your hips. I promised you it wouldn't be long. Cross your legs, have your left shin in front of your right. Bring your right hand to your left knee, sit up very tall. Pull yourself into an easy twist. Just let your shoulders melt away from your ears. This is a great way to release upper back tension. Come forward, switch the cross of your legs. And with your left hand on your knee, take an easy twist. Come back forward. Now, have a block handy. Actually, you might want 2 blocks. I'll tell you what, let me demo this really quick so you can see it, so that when you're on your back, you are not feeling confused and having a hard time seeing. So this is what we're gonna do. All right, move your dog off your mat, or your cat, or your horse. Come into your prep for bridge. Have your hips close to your heels. We are going to rise up into our bridge and use a block underneath our hips. Now, you're going to try to get that block as high as you can. So this is fine. This is also fine. I mean, any height, just the highest that you can for your body proportions. And tuck your arms, your shoulder blades deep underneath you. Now hang in there just 1 second. I'm going to give you cues, but not now. I'll just show you a visual. I'm going to give you an option for an inversion. So Viparita Karani is a back bend and an inversion in one. And this is what it looks like. Your block has got to be stable. So if it's unstable, then you've got to keep your feet on the ground. So a super soft block, or sometimes our own proportions don't allow us to get stable on the block. What you could do is just take it down to the lowest level, and that's okay too. All right. So let's come onto your back, have your hips and heels close to one another. lift your hips, take your block, highest level that you comfortably can, looking for stability. Tuck your shoulders underneath you. Now let's stay here for a moment. I'm going to stay right here. And breathe into your belly. And on your exhales, feel your belly relax. As you inhale, of course, it expands. But take a slow, sustained exhalation and just allow the abdominal muscles to relax. Give the internal organs right between your two hip bones, whatever they happen to be, a massage. If your energy has been feeling really chaotic and you've been feeling stress or disconnect, you might want to just stay right here. This is a very therapeutic pose, excellent for the second chakra. That's that chakra of pleasure, creativity, sensuality. If you feel like you'd like to bring a little bit more energy up into the higher realms, this is like the third eye, crown chakra, you may want to try an inversion. This can benefit you if maybe your energy's been crazy and you feel as though, I'm missing something here. I'm not sure what's going on, but I just don't feel like I'm seeing this clearly. The full moon's good for that, but it can also make things a little chaotic, so this can be extra helpful. Now, if you have any issues with blood pressure, if you're pregnant, if you, have any issues with your eyes, you're going to stay on the ground because blood pressure increases in your head, and that can be difficult for people with some eye conditions. If you feel healthy and you want to extend your legs up towards the sky, you can do that, and if anything doesn't feel right, you need to put those feet back on the mat. Let's breathe here for a moment. Wherever you are in a little inversion. Your hips are higher than your heart, and your heart's higher than your head. If you're able to close your eyes, do that. And just feel how it feels to be in this mini inversion or full inversion. Now, inversions have this energy of balance. It's very balancing. So if you're feeling frenetic, angsty, a little nervous, they can be soothing. But also if you're feeling lethargic, sluggish, they can be stimulating. So they're just kind of a nice balancing practice. Just a few more breaths here. Hang with it. When you're ready, bend your knees, lower your feet back to the mat. Now stay with me as we come out. I've got a special way out that I really like. Lift your hips, remove your block, but keep the hips lifted. Sweep your arms high above your head. Ground your hands and start to lower your spine a vertebra at a time from your neck down to your tailbone, lengthening your spine. Feel like you're creating space between each vertebra. And as your hips come down, extend your legs straight. With your right hand, take a hold of your left wrist and pull your left wrist and heel in opposite direction. And then take your left hand around your right wrist. Now, I'd like to do one excellent shoulder opener here, but it may be hard to cue. So I'm going to do a quick demo so you can see it, And if you can't see easily from here, maybe roll to one side, come up for just a second. You need space around your arms. So I like to say make a big snow angel. And if your hands are touching anything, readjust or move props out of your way. We're coming into a twist. I'm going to perhaps use a block underneath my knee so the block can be out of your way, but under your knee. I'll cue you into this, so I'm not going to go into detail now. But once I'm in this twist, you'll notice my shoulder lifts off of the mat a little bit. That's okay. I'm just going to relax that arm. And imagine that, I'm going to imagine that I'm lying in sand and I'm drawing a big circle above my head. As I sandwich my hands, you can't see that, but as I sandwich my hands, I'm going to be all the way on my side. And then reverse the circle. So actually, let me take one more round like that, like this. I want to make sure you can see this so you get the full benefit. I'm going to try to keep my hands on the mat and draw a big half moon above my head. Okay? So come on to your back. Bend your knees. Shift your hips off to the left a couple of inches. Extend your right leg and draw your left knee in. Drop the knee over the midline of the body and bring your knee onto your block. Open your arms like a big T. All right, relax your shoulders and draw a line over, a big half moon over your head, and then come back into arms in a T. Draw your half circle. And come back, arms in a T. Take your time. I'm kind of rushing this a bit, I think, so I'm going to slow it down. And you'll be feeling an intense stretch in your chest, in the front of your shoulder. It's really a good one. And you might notice that after a few repetitions, your shoulder can rest a little more on the mat. Everybody twists to a different degree, so maybe you don't have that issue. That's okay. So just do that a few times. Then, when your arms are in a T, pause and hold. I'm going to give you another option here. You can lower your block, extend your top leg towards straight. Maybe you can grab your toe with your right hand, maybe not. But at any rate, this might help you get a better opening, a better stretch in your hip and your IT band. There's no real rules here. We're really going for feeling rather than form. So if your hand cannot quite grab your toe, but you feel, oh, I'm getting a great stretch in my hip, well, then you're doing it right. I'm just holding onto my calf right here because I'm feeling kind of extra tight. Now bend your knee and replace your left hip on the mat and rebalance your hips. Whew. Extend your leg. Right now my left side is feeling very heavy and relaxed and open. So I'm feeling real good about that. I'm going to bend my right knee, lift my hips, move them offset a few inches to the right. This helps make my spine comfortable as I twist, and twist and bring the knee over to my block. Open my arms like a big T, and then begin to draw a half moon up above the head. And just do that a few times, taking your time. We can lose a lot of shoulder mobility as we get older. And this is just a really nice, comfortable way, I think, to maintain it. If you have an injury you might not find, you're able to keep your hand on the mat the whole time. That's okay. Just do what you can do. Just take it to where you feel a comfortable stretch, but a stretch. So after you do this 3 or 4 or 5 times, pause and just hold, and maybe make an adjustment in your leg. Twists are just excellent, not just for the spine, for compressing and releasing the discs to help keep the fluid processing in the discs, for stretching the small muscles that are around the spine, for compressing the internal organs, helping in our digestive process. They're great openers for the chest and shoulder, for the low back, just a whole lot of great stuff going on here. This is probably the best thing you can be doing right now. Okay, wherever you're at, bend your knee if it's straight. Place your hips back on the mat. Now, keep your left leg extended on the mat. Draw your right knee in, and then point the sole of your foot up towards the sky. Take a hold of your calf, your ankle, maybe your outer foot, and just pull that knee in, and then maybe extend a little bit. So just gently pumping your hip. Hold as you bend the knee, drawing it towards your armpit. If this is too deep of a stretch for the front of your left hip, you can bend your knee. Now, slide your left heel towards your hip. Place your right ankle on your left knee. Pull the knee in. Interlace your hands around your knee. Just circle your left knee up towards the sky. Like if you had a little light shining out of your left knee up towards the sky, you'd be drawing a nice big full moon up in the sky. Replace your foot on the mat. Extend your right leg straight. Draw your left knee in. Point the sole of your foot towards the sky. Take a hold of your calf, your ankle, or your outer foot. And then extend and draw it in. So just a little bit of movement here, just kind of pumping into the hip, into the hamstring, gently. Always start small and build from there. And then draw the knee in and just hold. Bend your right knee and place your ankle on your right knee. Draw your knee in towards your chest, interlacing your hands around your hamstring. Little circles will massage your hip. Then lower your foot and extend both legs straight. Let's take just a moment here. Our practice is a grounding practice, so let your hands come into any position that helps you feel nurtured and comfortable. On an exhale, relax as completely as you can. Hopefully you've released some tension in your muscles. And when you do relax, feel as though your muscles are expanding. They're not so tight and contracted, but rather soft and expansive. And as your muscles loosen their grip around your joints, whether it's your spine, your shoulders, or your hips, feel how the softness in the muscles allows you to create a little space in that joint. And as your body becomes heavy and relaxed, imagine it sinking a little bit deeper into the earth, and the earth is rising up to hold it, to cradle it, and support it. Your body might feel a little bit more open and relaxed than it did before you started this practice. It's not the same as it was. So if you're feeling a little extra chaotic energy in your life right now, know that that's going to shift and change also. Nothing stays the same. It's the law of nature. You can stay here if this is really feeling good right now. If you'd like, you can roll to one side and come up to seated very slowly and gently. Take the time that you need for yourself to complete your practice. And I'm going to say thank you for taking the time to practice with me. I hope you're feeling a little bit more grounded, more relaxed, and more open. Namaste. There you are, back again.